and the title. It just helps us identify it for anybody who else is listening.
Sure.
Okay, the recording has started. You may begin.
Okay. This is the August 10th, 2021, 5:30 meeting of the Education, Outreach, and Training Committee of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force. Cheryl, did you want to go ahead and read the preamble?
Let me start by saying the Listen public call-in phone number is 415-906-4659, and the meeting ID is 778-231-24#. If you wish to make a statement during general public comment, please press *6 and unmute your telephone to speak. Please press *6 to mute your telephone once you are done with your statement. Remote access to information and participation. In accordance with Governor Newsom's Executive Order N3320, declaring a state of emergency regarding the COVID-19 outbreak, and Mayor London and Breed's proclamation declaring a local emergency issued on February 25, 2020, including the guidance for gatherings issued by the San Francisco Department of Public Health officer, aggressive directives were issued to reduce the spread of COVID-19. On March 17, 2020, the Board of Supervisors authorized their board and committee meetings to convey remotely via Microsoft Teams and will allow remote public comment via teleconference. Members of the public may participate by phone or may submit their comments by email to cheryl.leger@sfgov.org. All comments received will be made a part of the official record. Sunshine Ordinance Task Force agendas and their associated documents are available at sfbos.org/sunshine. As the COVID-19 disease progresses, please visit the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force website regularly to be updated on the current situation as it affects the legislative process.
All right.
Meeting
Yep, do you want to do meeting decorum now?
Go ahead.
Yep, go ahead.
Oh, me? Okay.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Meeting decorum. Any member of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force may call for decorum due to disorderly conduct of meeting participants. Persons who engage in threatening and/or menacing behavior may be asked to leave.
All right. Thank you. And did you want to call the first item then?
Item number 1, call to order, roll call, and agenda changes. Roll call. Member Padmanabhan.
Aye.
Member Padmanabhan present. Member Wolf.
Here.
Member Wolf present. Chair Yankee.
Present.
We have a quorum. I am.
Here. I have to do it. Bob Kleinfeld's here. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
It'll
take 2 seconds.
Background. Can I help you?
5 minutes.
Could everyone who's calling in mute until it's time for public comment, please? *6.
Feature Bob Kleinfeld's recorded as present.
Zach Carnese is reported as present.
Okay. Agenda changes. Are any committee members aware of any agenda changes for today's meeting?
I'm not.
Okay.
I don't see anyone. So I think we're good with item number 1. Can you call item number 2?
Item number 2, adoption of the minutes for the July 13, 2021 Education, Outreach, and Training Committee meeting. I have a copy of the minutes. If people have changes they want to make, I'm happy to oblige.
Move to adopt.
I have a change that I'd like to make.
Okay.
In item number 1 under public comment with Zach Carnese's, that paragraph, it's not very clear what happened. And he mentions that I think we need to edit this to say that Zach Carnese's and his email, the day stated that he received an email from Administrator Leger on Thursday, I think it was the 8th of July, stating that the day before the agenda was to be published, that he had 3 items on the agenda. And he requested that he could only handle 1 item at a time, and that the items to be taken off the agenda for that day.
Okay.
Any other changes?
That's all for me.
Okay, I don't have anything.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we open up for public comment?
Just a moment.
Zach Carnegie for public comment, please. Please add anonymous number 3 into the queue.
Okay, we have Mr. Carnazes, we have anonymous 3. Do we have other public commenters?
Peter Warfield.
Mr. Warfield, number 3. Do we have other public commenters? Okay, let's start with Mr. Carnazes. You have 3 minutes, sir. Let me know when I can start the clock.
Hi, I'm using a timer, so I don't need a reminder, please.
Well, I need a clock. I have to
Sure.
notice you at 30 seconds that that's what it is.
Please don't interrupt me at 30 seconds. I have a timer here.
All right, you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Zach Carnazes, and I'm disabled, and I'm an ADA advocate and District 9 voter. I want to thank the commissioner that just spoke up to amend the minutes, because that is a request that I made over email as well. I did get an email response from Cheryl Leger saying that the changes had already been made, so I'm a bit confused as to what the vote is, if the changes that I asked are going to be included. As they were previously, the comment was that the minutes said that Zach has experienced difficulty accessing the SOTF materials. That language is concerning, because it makes it sound like maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I just had difficulty. That's not what I said. I said that I had made reasonable disability accommodation requests and that they were denied. This is an ongoing issue right now, as I think commissioners are aware of. It's something I want to improve. And the short 24 hours notice from Cheryl Leger, who had just come back from vacation, was part of the issue, as the commissioner thoughtfully brought up just now, which I very much appreciate. And so I think I'm just concerned at maybe a pattern of meeting minutes not faithfully reflecting what's actually said, especially if it's in any sort of critical light at all whatsoever. And I think, criticism, unfortunately, is sometimes necessary. It's how we improve things. And so I appreciate the effort here today at accuracy and accurately reflecting the minutes and the 3 items that I did ask to have taken off the agenda, because that was my actual public comment. And it was about reasonable disability accommodation denials, not about difficulty accessing SOTF materials. Thank you so much for your effort on this. I really appreciate it. That's the end of my comment.
Okay, thank you. And Cheryl, when you're ready for the next speaker.
I believe that's anonymous 3. Are you ready, sir?
I am.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. This is anonymous number 3. First, I don't know how to raise this, but the committee may want to inform the people on the call that the people on the call can't speak up and make motions. And I'm saying, I'm not trying to blame anyone. People may not realize that, right? Like, other people were identifying themselves earlier on, the members of the public. One of them, I think, even raised a motion. The chair may want to clarify that. With regards to the minutes, I would make one suggested correction, which is on page 5 of the minutes, which is P6. At the top in item 7, it says anonymous number 3, and then there's 2 sentences about what I said. But the last part of the last sentence says, and that it must be within the subject jurisdiction. I believe I was saying the opposite, that the Sunshine Ordinance does not have a subject matter jurisdiction limitation. So I would ask that you replace the clause, and that it must be within the subject jurisdiction, with the clause, and the Sunshine Ordinance does not have a subject matter jurisdiction limitation. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's correct, just as a reminder for those calling in and listening. Only the task force members can make motions, and so we ask that you keep yourself muted on *6 until it's time for you to speak during public comment. Go ahead, Cheryl, for the next speaker when you're ready.
Are you ready, Mr. Warfield?
Yes, I am. Let me know when to start, please.
All right, I'll give you a 30-second warning. Go ahead, sir.
This is Peter Warfield, Executive Director of Library Users Association. We can be reached at libraryusers2004@yahoo.com and by mail at P.O. Box 170544, San Francisco, California 94117-0544. First of all, I appreciate the attention to some detail by the member who requested a correction to Mr. Carnesi's reported comments. My recollection was that there was an issue about how much time he had been given, and I may be mixing something from a previous discussion, but there was an issue with regard to not only whether he was granted, well, there were multiple issues. One was whether he was granted a request that he had placed as soon as he got word of the meeting that he requested for an accommodation, and apparently never got an answer to that until the actual meeting happened, at which case it was awfully late because he had to be there to find out what the result was. The other issue was how much time there was given as notice for how long people have to place additional material into the agenda. And that seems to have been running around 2 days, except in the case of Mr. Chafee when it ran negative days. In other words, he was alerted by something that was sent after the deadline. I know that Library Users Association withdrew for the moment or asked for a postponement when we got merely 2 days on something we'd been waiting for 10 months, and then were notified with 2 days available. With regard to our entries, first of all, I would appreciate having all of the detail that I provide about Library Users Association and the addresses in each time I mention it, because I consider it important. In a real meeting, that's something that anybody could identify you with and could approach you, or you could approach them, and so on and so forth. Second, you seem to have changed your format. Peter Warfield is now listed without any association to Library Users Association in all the subsequent comments. And there's a mention not sufficiently specific about the error that was asked to be corrected in the provision, yet again, of an erroneous email address. And the terminology is wrong. I believe it should be domain name and not what it says. I think there is a lack in general of detail, and I certainly think that the administrator should not change documents before the folks change it officially. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Last call for public comment. All right, hearing no public comment is closed. Members, motion?
Move to approve the minutes.
And I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Cheryl, could you call the roll?
Member Wolf?
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Member Padmanabhan?
Aye.
Member Padmanabhan, aye. Chair Yankee?
Aye.
Chair Yankee, aye. The motion to approve the July minutes of the Education Outreach and Training Committee have passed.
Thank you. And Cheryl, can you call the next item?
Item number 3, public comment. Members of the public may address the Education, Outreach, and Training Committee on matters that are within the committee's jurisdiction, but not on today's agenda.
Thank you. So this is the portion for general public comment. So if you'd like to participate in public comment here, please speak up and Cheryl can add you to the list.
Zach Carnazes for public comment in the queue, please.
Peter Warfield, please.
I hear 2 public commenters. Are there others?
Anonymous number 3.
Okay.
I have 3 public commenters. Is that all, or do we have other public commenters?
Sounds like just the 3 for now. So Cheryl, if you'd like to get started with the first public commenter when you're ready.
Mr. Carnazes, are you ready to speak?
Yes, and as before, I have a timer for 2 minutes, so I would appreciate no interruption. Thank you.
You actually have 3 minutes to speak.
I have 3 minutes. Oh, I cut it off at 2 minutes last time. Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
Are you ready, sir?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Zach Carnazes. I'm a disability advocate and District 9 voter. I'm disabled myself. I have multiple severe disabilities. I have, unfortunately, have the misfortune of having to, again, restate that the accessibility concerns that I brought up last month have not been addressed appropriately at all. In fact, some of them have gotten worse. And I don't understand it. I really don't. I don't understand why the administration of Sunshine Ordinance treats the public like scum, like we are some low-life peasants. How dare we try to engage in this complaint procedure? Everything is made to be as hard as possible for disabled and non-disabled people, and I don't understand it. I've sent detailed emails that are numbered, and I've asked for the responses to be numbered. I've asked for ADA coordinator information. The only person who seemed to have replied in a thoughtful way that has been helpful has been Alyssa Samara. I apologize if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. She was the person that finally gave me the ADA coordinator info. We get something called a notice of appearance. A notice of appearance before an agenda is going to be published. That notice of appearance, again, came only 2 days before the agenda was published. It came on a Tuesday afternoon. The agenda is published on Friday. 2.5 days. It's not enough time for me to submit for reasonable disability accommodations, for extensions, to ask questions about my case, of which I have many. And what's really upsetting is I've received emails from SOTF saying, well, we mentioned at a meeting last month that your thing would be in August. I don't know what day in August. I don't know what time in August. I don't know what the deadline is for materials to be submitted. The Sunshine Ordinance has a process. And there is an email that goes out, and it's called the Notice of Appearance. All I'm asking is for that Notice of Appearance to be sent. Give us 7 business days so that we can submit changes, ask questions. That gives you more time to review evidence. I don't understand why this is such a contentious request. I don't understand why it was so hard to get ADA coordinator information. I don't understand why the administration continues to ignore my accommodation requests for numbered email replies. Meanwhile, saying that my requests are so complicated. They're really not. Having that additional time is what makes it possible for disabled people to submit reasonable accommodation requests and have equal access to these meetings. Moreover, I don't even think this is a disability issue alone. I think for non-disabled public, 1 or 2 business days for a notice of appearance is inappropriate. It's cruel, and especially when people have been waiting months for a hearing to come up, to only be given that very brief window to be notified that, oh, have all your evidence in, and once the agenda is published, we can't change it. You know, that's just really unfair. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker, Cheryl, when you're ready.
Mr. Warfield?
Yes, just let me know when to start. Thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
This is Peter Warfield, Executive Director of Library Users Association. We can be reached at libraryusers2004@yahoo.com and by mail at P.O. Box 170544, San Francisco, California, 94117-. 0544. There seems to be a pattern that has gone on for much of this year of either leaving out all or part of the associations and information that I provide about Library Users Association and how to reach us, or to put it in with one error after another, after another, after another. I'd like to understand why that happens. I've also not ever gotten an answer, and I would like one, as to how it was decided. There hasn't been any vote that I know of. How it was decided that there would be some sort of a pattern or policy of providing the information in the first appearance, but not in any of the subsequent ones. I do think that it's very peculiar and unnerving, frankly, that the Sunshine Task Force is so uncommunicative about basic questions about what it's doing and how it's doing and so on. And certainly what Mr. Carnesi's just said is very troubling, because it has been a pattern that's gone on. As I mentioned, Mr. Chafee got his notice of an appearance of a hearing sent after the date of the deadline for providing information for the agenda packet. And we got ours after some 8 months of waiting out of the blue with 2 days' notice. We tried to be prompt so you could substitute another meeting. And by the way, if you want to get work on your backlog, it seems to me that it would be a good idea to give the courtesy of enough time to people for a reasonable opportunity to pull stuff together and provide it for your agenda packet. Otherwise, you get all kinds of last-minute cancellations and don't seem to be replacing them. I've said this before again, and I have 33 seconds when that came up. There seems to be a continual short timing. I've asked that the win that we had, first of all, be noticed in an order of determination from June. There hasn't been any order of determination. Number two, the library is continuing to do exactly what it did before, with no change whatsoever since the time of the hearing. And I think that if you don't do anything, including have a follow-up at one of these meetings, any of the subcommittee meetings, you are essentially inviting them to continue flouting the law. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Show, when you're ready.
I believe that's anonymous number 3.
Yes, that's you. Are you ready to speak?
I am.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. It's anonymous number 3. I wanted to briefly agree with some parts of what was said by the last 2 speakers, namely about how long it is before the deadline you have to give materials. I've experienced, now that I've had so many notices of appearances, I've had between 2 days and 2 weeks, and I'm not really sure what causes the variance in why is it sometimes 2 days and why is it sometimes, which is amazing, the 2-week period, right? And so I would urge whatever the task force can do to standardize that presumably you know what the queue of never before heard complaints is. There's a spreadsheet I think you guys have. And so it seems like you would be able to, quite some time ahead of time, know the series of complaints that are at least never before been heard, and kind of chunk those up in 5-6 segment pieces and have them for committees quite some time ahead of time. And it would help with the backlog, because I've been to committees where half the complaints were the person just didn't show up. And if you knew they weren't going to show up, you could have someone else's complaints for those slots. I did want to say that this is great. I've noticed that new complaints being served have this extra question at the end that says, quote, acknowledgement of non-compliance with the Sunshine Ordinance or declaration of no contest. It seems like, I guess you guys are doing that beyond the pilot just for my Prop G complaints. I guess this is for all new complaints. As a concept, I think that's great. I do think that wording needs to be made more specific, because I've had, for example, with one of my complaints, the library doesn't really know what that means or how to respond to that. and even if they did agree, right? So I would urge you to make that wording on these now new response forms that you're sending out to everyone somewhat more specific than what it is right now, and make it a separate question, not just part of statement that all relevant documents have been provided. It should be a seventh separate question that is, do you acknowledge noncompliance with all the allegations or declare no contest to all the allegations? But there also needs to be a third option of no, we deny, and that should be on there as well. And I'd urge you to kind of tweak the new response complaint response form you have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers for general public comment? Last call for general public comment. All right, hearing none, general public comment is closed. Cheryl, can you read the next item?
Item number 4, file number 21033, complaint filed by Zach Karnazes against the Mayor's Office on Disability for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 6712 by failing to provide the recording of the closed session discussions and actions, 6725 by failing to respond to an immediate disclosure request for public records in a timely and or complete. This is the first time this case has been heard.
Thank you. And are both parties here? Oh, Member Wolf, did you have a comment? You're on mute.
Sorry. I need to disclose that I sat on the visioning team for this project in question for this matter, and that there was no discussion of funding or project development at that time. My activity there will not bias my service or decisions here today on this matter.
Great. Thank you. So Mr. Karnazes, are you still with us here?
I've made multiple reasonable disability accommodation.
Okay, well, just one moment. I just want to make sure that I'm just checking that both parties are with us here. So do we have the respondent, someone from the Mayor's Office of Disability? Hello? Is there someone from the Mayor's Office of Disability on the line? *6 to unmute yourself. Okay, does not sound like the respondent is in the meeting. So we'll start momentarily here with the complainant. Cheryl, let me know when you're ready. I believe we're doing 5 minutes for this. For the introduction.
Initial statements, yes.
Okay. So Cheryl, let Mr. Karnazes know when you're ready.
I'm sorry, I really don't understand what's happening. I asked for a continuance and a disability accommodation, and I never got a response. And I asked for those.
Mr. Karnazes, just one moment. Just want to make sure that Cheryl's ready for you.
Mr. Karnazes, are you ready to speak?
Well, I don't understand what's happening right now because it sounds like the complaint's being heard when I had requested a continuance and I never got a response. And I requested that even before the agenda was published, and it was ignored.
Chair Yankee, would you like to proceed?
Yeah, Mr. Karnazes, you can include that in your discussion for your 5 minutes, and then the task force will discuss on how to proceed with this matter after you give your introduction here, your introductory statements.
But that means the complaint being heard. Is that what I understand correctly? That file number 21033 is a complaint, and I'm giving my 5 minutes in the beginning hearing of the complaint?
That's correct.
Is that what's happening?
That's where we're at now. If you'd like to start and talk or discuss why you believe it needs to be continued again, you're welcome to do so in your introduction. So Cheryl, when you're ready, please prompt the
Mr. Karnazes, so you ready to speak?
I don't even know. I'm so confused right now, but I will speak to what was just mentioned, which is the continuance. I'm not prepared to speak on the actual case. No.
You're welcome to say whatever it is you think needs to be said.
Chief Cheryl, are you ready for him?
Yeah, but I told him to go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, that part was not clear. Thank you. Hi, my name is Zach Carnazes. I don't know what's going on right now. I was emailed a notice of appearance on Tuesday, August 3rd. On August 5th, as soon as I received that notice of appearance, I said this is not enough time to review the evidence and submit the evidence for this case. 48 hours is not enough time, and I need more time as a reasonable disability accommodation, and if that's denied, as a continuance. The administration ignored that request and published the agenda on Friday, and apparently has ignored it up until now, as this is apparently being heard as an item right now. And I'm having to use my time to argue a case to talk about a continuance request that was ignored and a disability accommodation request that was ignored. This is beyond unfair, and I don't understand how this could happen. I don't even think this is the right complainant for this filing. When I filed this with Sunshine, I filed it with, all the responses I had been getting were from Kevin Pang with Human Services Agency, not with MOD. Took me a while to even figure out what this complaint was, because I have another complaint for Mayor's Office on Disability, which is not related to this. This is like very confusing for me, and I needed help. And I was asking for an extension, and I can't believe that both that and my disability accommodation are completely ignored. And I'm being forced to give up my time now. I don't understand why you treat the public like this. Why we're treated so vilely when all we're trying to do is keep departments following the law. I was just trying to find out what was happening with the Disability Cultural Center, because they weren't releasing any information, and voters voted for it in 2016. And there's $38 million that went to that cultural center. And I sent an email on March 25th where I outlined what was not being filled in my public records request. I said I didn't receive records from 2016 to 2018. I didn't receive any of the emails I requested. I didn't receive the construction date info or anything else from my request. I received only 2019 and 2021, I believe, was all I received. I've got in the reply that I barely had time to review before this meeting today, they acknowledge, they said that we overlooked your request for emails. We overlooked this. We didn't see that. And then a very aggressive response saying that Sunshine doesn't have jurisdiction over this. I'm super confused because that reply states that it's Zach Carnazes versus the Office of the City Attorney. But maybe that's a different complaint. I don't even know because I didn't have time. And I just don't understand why you treat people like this. I don't even know what to say because I'm not even sure what case is being heard right now. And I tried to access the documents and it's really not clear. Is this even the case with the disability center, the cultural center? Because that wasn't made clear. When these notices of appearance are made, they don't even say what the case is referring to. These are accommodation needs that I have, and I'm not making them to make anyone's life difficult. I'm not trying to make things harder for people. I'm just trying to access this process. This process which exists so that we can engage in a public process to make sure that departments are following the law. I don't know what else to say. I'm here for questions. I would really appreciate any explanation that people have for my disability accommodation request and my extension request being completely ignored by the administration here. I'll give up the rest of my time because I don't even know what to say.
Okay, thank you. And just calling one more time for the respondent. Is someone here from the Mayor's Office of Disability? Not hearing anyone from the Mayor's Office of Disability members, how would you like to proceed on this? Member Wolf?
Yeah, I just I'm a little confused myself. Mr. Karnetzes, I want to respond to the issue around continuance. We discussed this at length at the last EOT meeting last month, and the committee took very specific action on very specific file numbers as per your request to spread them out over time. And so the action was, it was moved by myself, it was seconded by Chair Yankee here, to continue file number 21033 to the August meeting, which is this meeting, file number 21034 to the September meeting, and file number 21035 to the October meeting. Listening to what you're saying, I'm a little concerned. Are you not aware which file numbers are for which of your complaints?
There is some confusion there, and I can also respond to the first part of what you stated to clarify if you would like.
Well, I'm asking these questions, trying to have a discussion about how to move forward at this point.
Well, I would like to clarify if that's allowed.
If what is allowed?
If I'm allowed to clarify what the confusion is that you stated just now. You said that you were confused about some things, and I have some clarity I can offer for that, but I don't want to speak out of turn.
No, it's your time to respond, however you like.
Okay, thank you. Last month, as was stated earlier in this meeting, I was given 24 hours notice before an agenda was published with 3 items of mine, which is actually against sunshine rules, I found out later. I said, that's crazy. I can't do all that in 24 hours. I'm not even, what? And I said, I need a reasonable disability accommodation to have some time to submit evidence and know when these meetings are happening before the agenda is published. This administration published that agenda anyway. I had to go to that meeting anyway. Even though I was very sick from my COVID-19 vaccine, I had to go to that meeting anyway to state that case, which is what you're mentioning, it sounds like right now. That was in July,
correct,
sometime in July. So at that meeting, I said, I made this disability request accommodation. Is it being denied? It's been denied because I had to go to that meeting. That is a denial. It's already put on the agenda. You have to go to that meeting. So my request was denied. And I said, is that the case? And can this be heard later? This commission said, no. Your disability accommodation was not denied. We will move the cases for you. That is your disability accommodation. We're doing it today.
Well, why is that an issue?
If I can finish, please.
Okay.
I said, thank you. That works. Is that counted against me as my one-time continuance? And I was told clearly, no, this does not count against your continuance because it's a reasonable disability accommodation. Also, I don't know when that next meeting is. I don't know what time that next meeting is. I don't know when the deadline for evidence submission is. So I get a notice of appearance for this meeting only 2 days. Again, the same thing happened, 2 days. And I submitted the next day, as soon as I could. This is not enough time. I need a continuance. And it was just ignored. So you can't have it both ways. You can't say this is a disability accommodation. We're granting it, we're not denying it, but then say you don't get a continuance and then ignore the second request completely. That's what's happening.
Let me jump in here for a second. Our meetings are the same every month on a regular schedule. So, if that wasn't clear, I apologize for that. They are noticed publicly, and it can be reviewed either at our website or through any of the minutes. You can see how they and the agendas when they happen. It's a very regular. It's the same time every month. It doesn't change. So that's the first point. Second point is when we at the last meeting when we took action to continue this item to this meeting, we felt that it gave you a full month to prepare. And you would have an opportunity to submit it anytime prior to the notice of the meeting. So, I'm not sure how long it might take, but a month seemed reasonable. And then to the other two being continued for the month of September and then one for October provides even additional more time. More time than is offered to the general public as per your reasonable request. So I'm not quite sure what the 2-day issue is at this point.
I can clarify that if you like. Can I speak?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, so thank you for that information. It is not clear to the general public how this process works. I did not know these meetings occurred at the same day every month at the same time. I didn't know that. I knew that sometime in August I had a meeting coming up. I didn't know what day. I didn't know what time. I didn't know when evidence needed to be submitted by. I foolishly, apparently, was waiting for something called the notice of appearance to be emailed to me. I was waiting for that notice of appearance so that I would know, okay, now I have to get, this is the deadline. That's when I know the meeting's coming up. That notice of appearance was only given 2 days before. Even still, again, going back to the point I made just a few minutes ago, as I understand it, please correct me if I'm wrong about this, but we are allowed to continue an item one time. I asked for that at the very least. If you want to deny the disability accommodation, fine. And if you want to say that notice of appearance being 2 days is totally appropriate, and you should have known that these meetings are at the same day and time every month, if you want to say all that, fine. But why was there no response? Why was the continuance not granted? Why are we here today speaking on this right now instead of that just being discussed previously? I don't understand.
Well, but the matter of the continuance is not at hand here. We're trying to determine whether we should move along with the current matter that's before us. And if you feel like you haven't been given enough time, then we can discuss that. But as far as why that happened, I don't think this is the proper venue to discuss that. We can discuss that at an administrative level to try to work out all these issues as we have been trying to do with all the emails back and forth. So I'd like to try to see if we could either, if you are not ready today to have this matter heard, we can continue it again and move all the other ones up forward, and then just make it very clear, in however we need to do it to help you with whatever support you need that's reasonable for us and within our ability to do that, to make it so that you have as smooth a hearing process as possible. That's all we're asking.
Should I respond?
That's sure. I look forward to it.
That would be very helpful. That's what I've been requesting since I replied to the notice of appearance the day after I received it, and I did not get a response. So if that's the response now, that is extremely helpful. That is what I've been asking for. I'm learning as this process goes along. I've been asking for a continuance. It is related to my disability. If that isn't decided upon today, or I don't know how that process works, but that's what I'm asking for, and that's what I've been asking for some time, and that would be appreciated.
But we decided at the last meeting. So the members. Yes.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Are complainants allowed to have a continuance?
Complainants are allowed to have one continuance. If they ask for a reasonable accommodation for some, for the purpose of disability, then it's the reasonable accommodation overrides. So that's what we attempted to do at the last meeting.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah.
So when I received the notice of appearance, clearly I was misinformed, and I emailed on Thursday, August 5th, that I would like this item continued. Do you know why no one responded to that continuance request?
I don't know why. I'd have to go back, and if I have any record of it, I don't know. But that I really don't want to get into that conversation here. I don't think that is appropriate. We're trying to work through our regular hearing process and trying to get to a place where you feel like your accommodation is being respected and that we can continue with our process. We have other people here today too that have hearings. So, the question now is do we move forward with the hearing, or do you want us to take action and continue the items and move them all up a month?
I would vote for moving them up a month. That would be, and then I can submit the questions and requests and the evidence necessary.
Right. Okay. So I'll make the motion to continue. Let me get the items here again. This is item 21033. So we'll continue items number 21033 to the September EOT committee meeting. Item 21034 to the October meeting, and file number 21035 to the November meeting. And in the meantime, try to interface with you to work out the time frames for submitting the documents for these files. How's that?
Thank you. Yes, and I will also have some questions about the case and the numbering system, and I'll need some help, so that would be very helpful.
Okay, very good. That's my motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay, moved by Member Wolf. A second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Second by Member Padmanabhan. Public comment? Do we have any public comment on this motion? If so, please state your name so that Cheryl can get you in the queue.
Anonymous number 3.
Peter Warfield.
Okay. Any other public commenters? Okay, hearing none, I'll let Cheryl cue you up when you're ready to speak. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Ready to begin?
You're breaking up. What did you say?
Are you ready to begin?
I am.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you very much. This is anonymous number 3. Yes, I would support the continuance, and I would just say I agree with some of the stuff that Mr. Karnazes has said, in the sense that until I had done this multiple times, I didn't know you can send things in between when you file it and when you get a notice of appearance. Because my understanding was, as it seems his might be also, is when you get that notice of appearance, then you can add the evidence. I know now that that's not the case. You can add things into the file at any time. Just put the file number in the subject line, and Ms. Leger will add your evidence, progressively as time goes on. But, that's only through discovery of having done it a bunch of times that I know that that's the case. I'd say that also, I don't see an intake form in this complaint, which I think is part of the confusion, or may become part of the confusion next time, about which parts of the allegations are against which departments, and I worry something similar as to happen at the last full task force might happen. I don't see how those allegations, even just having read through the packet as far as I could, have even to do necessarily with this respondent, and their response kind of says something similar. And I would also say that one of the concerns about how these files are kept is evident on page 66, P66, which is page 58 of this PDF. There's no way that anyone will ever be able to read the evidence on that file, because it's just scribbles of very, very tiny font that's been printed and scanned out. So I do think these things, like fixing these kind of things, would make everyone's lives easier, the complainant, the city, and the SOTF itself, in fact, in this file. And there's an example of it right here. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Next speaker, Show. Let them know when you're ready, please.
Yep. Mr. Warfield, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Let me know when to start, please.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
Peter Warfield, Executive Director of Library Users Association. We can be reached at libraryusers2004@yahoo.com and by mail at P.O. Box 170544, San Francisco, California 94117-0544. This is a very sad meeting so far on this complaint. We're not a party to the complaint. We're not familiar particularly with the details. We are certainly concerned with good sunshine administration, good sunshine justice, and this is truly sad. The idea that somebody would know what your practices are, especially somebody who's not made a career out of staying with sunshine or isn't actually a member, I think is rather expecting a lot. When I look at the rules of what the schedules of the meetings, for example, this committee is stated to be meeting on the fourth Tuesday of every odd month, rather. Well, how come you're meeting today? Completely unclear. And this happens all throughout the procedures. The procedures in many cases, both external, what you present to the public, and internal, are often not clear, often incomplete, certainly not always in the best interest of clarity as well as the users. And I think a person has an expectation to know what the dates are. If you expect to have something by a certain date, what is the fourth Tuesday? What is the next odd month or even month or whatever? Let's hear it explicitly. And indeed, as Anonymous says, when and where can you file stuff? I also think that it's highly confusing the way in which minutes are often written, lacking specificity, and the way that particularly agendas are. The agendas are endlessly written with just citations from the sections presumably violated, but with no clarity what the actual substance is. Did somebody murder somebody? Did somebody show up a day late with something that had to do with somebody's employment record? What is the specificity? And people need to know that to understand whether their interest is going to be affected. And I think that that should be done in the way that a newspaper writes a story. It doesn't say that a murder happened at such and such a location by such and such a person. There's clarity. Such and such happened. So and so is accused or was supposedly seen, and so
Time's
on.
up,
There
sir.
needs to be a lot more clarity about all the procedures. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment on this item? Let's call for public comment. Hearing none, public comment is closed. Member Wolf?
Yeah, I'd just like to respond a little bit on this. We have a document called Public Complaint Procedure, and it's very explicit on how and what this process is. I'm not expecting everyone to know where it exists or how it exists, but it does exist, and it was written in a way so there are some things that you need to know that are in it that need to be explained, and there are others that are written in a way so that it's very open. So there's not a need to explain it. So, for instance, in filing a complaint with task force, it just verbatim quote how to submit a complaint. A letter or complaint form may be submitted to the SOTF via mail, fax, electronic mail, email, or in person. So it's very wide open. There's no complaint form attached to this file because the complaint was submitted as a letter through email. The opening complaint summary describes who the respondents are, and they are labeled as respondents. There are two. One is the Mayor's Office of Disability and Deborah Kaplan from the Mayor's Office of Disability. So I'm not quite sure from what the speakers were mentioning that where there is confusion on who the parties are, and on the agenda, it also states that it's against the Mayor's Office on Disability. And so
May I offer some insight into that, please?
No, we've all had a chance to speak. I'm just laying out what I'm seeing here and what I'm hearing. And then I'm going to ask that we just vote and move on.
Chair Yankee, shall I call the vote?
Just a very brief comment from me, Cheryl. If you could take a look at the website that lists the various committees and when they meet, and make sure that they're updated to reflect the proper days of the month that they meet. I think that'd be helpful for the public. That was the only comment I had. Are we ready for a vote then? Hearing no objection. Cheryl, can you call the roll?
Member Wolf?
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Member Padmanabhan?
Aye.
Member Padmanabhan, aye. Chair Yankee?
Aye.
Chair Yankee, aye. Moved by Member Wolf, seconded by Member Padmanabhan to continue item number 21033 to September, 21034 to October, 21035 to the November Education Outreach and Training Committee meetings. And if Mr. Kanazis wants to call me, he's more than welcome to. I'm happy to give him what those exact dates are for each of those months.
Okay.
Is that reasonable, Mr. Kanazis? Hello?
I was told that I'm not supposed to speak anymore, so I don't understand what the process is right now.
Well, this isn't a process. I just wanted to tell you that if you want to call me tomorrow, I will give you, and probably email you as well, the exact dates in September, October, and November for your 3 complaints. So that
I would love it if a notice of appearance could be submitted a week before the agenda is published. That's what I'm asking.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to, I'll let you work offline here with Mr. Carnazes, Cheryl. If you can call the next item, please.
Item number 5, file number 21052, complaint filed by Bob Planthold against the Planning Commission for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 6715 by failing to allow participation in public comment during remote April 27, 21 Planning Commission meeting.
Thank you. And do we have the complainant present, Bob Planthold?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And
I'm ready to proceed.
okay, great. Okay, and just checking, do we have a representative from the Planning Commission at the meeting?
Yes. Yes, this is Laura Lynch from the Planning Department.
Excellent. Okay, great. Thank you both. Each of you will get 5 minutes to present. So Cheryl, we'll start with Mr. Planthold, and please let him know when you're ready.
Tell me when.
Are you ready, sir?
Yes?
Go ahead.
Okay. This is a complaint about denial of the opportunity for public comment, however inadvertent or negligent public comment by people with sensory disabilities. And this is critical. I was put on the Sunshine Task Force early on, way back in the 90s, as a person with a disability, and told to try to make sure city departments and agencies made the opportunity for public comment available to all, not just those who can see and hear, write and type, and so forth. That didn't really happen. So here's the scenario. The agenda that was emailed out and originally posted online had one call-in phone number for making public comment. However, in looking at SFG TV, crawling across the bottom of the screen was a different call-in phone number. I noticed it after a person with a disability emailed to me and to others, hey, he had tried to use the posted agenda call-in phone number and it didn't work. And I had to say, go to SFG TV and try this phone number. Well, here's part of the problem. People who are blind sometimes use what's called screen reader software to read text on a screen. That doesn't really come across well, safely, easily, consistently with SFG TV. But worse, when I made mention of this, the commission secretary then called it out orally. Oh, well, folks, ignore figuratively what was posted on the agenda. Instead, call this phone number. But if you're deaf, you can't hear it. You can't know what was the proper call-in phone number. And the screen reader software couldn't readily read the crawl across the bottom of the screen of type that small. So anybody who was sensory deprived really had no timely ability to make public comment. Again, however negligent or inadvertent from Planning Commission, they neglected to make sure that any and everybody could comment. That's the problem, why I'm complaining now. I'm done with my presentation.
Okay, thank you. And then, I'm sorry, who was this from the Planning Commission?
Laura Lynch.
Okay, thank you. Cheryl, when Ms. Lynch is ready, or Cheryl, when you're ready, please let Ms. Lynch know that she can go ahead.
Ms. Lynch, are you ready?
I'm ready whenever. Yep.
Okay. Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Good evening, members of the Sunshine and Ordinance Task Force, Laura Lynch, Planning Department staff. As mentioned by the complainant, there was an error in the posting of the Planning Commission agenda for April 22nd, 2021. As detailed in the memo dated June 1st, 2021, while the Planning Department did make an error to the agenda, the department believes that we are not in violation of the Sunshine Ordinance. In accordance with Admin Code Section 67.15, the department made a good faith effort to correct the error and provide public comment as soon as it was known and update the access code. The department quickly corrected the agenda on our website, the number posted on our website, and contacted SF.gov TV to confirm the correct number was scrolling. Additionally, the Commission Secretary stated for the record that the Planning Commission agenda and department's webpage have been updated with the correct access code. This was repeated throughout the hearing. We received no complaints from individuals that are both deaf and blind that were unable to make public comment at the April 22nd, 2021 hearing. Additionally, the calendar items referenced by the complainant received 127 comments at the hearing. These were informational items that had no action by the Commission. Members of the public are encouraged to provide comments to the Commission in other ways outside of the hearing, including written and oral for informational items. In acknowledgement of our error, the department has made efforts to correct this. We have met with the Mayor's Office of Disability on this matter and reached out to SF.gov TV with regards to suggestions made by the complainant. Lastly, we have made changes to our practice internally with regards to posting of agendas and access numbers to ensure that this error is not repeated. This concludes my presentation. The Planning Department continues to strive to improve accessibility to all at our meetings. Any and all suggestions by this committee will be taken into consideration. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Lynch. Members, questions?
Yeah, I do. This is a question to the respondent. Ms. Lynch, are you representing the commission here? You had originally identified yourself from the planning department.
Yes, I work for the Office of Commission Affairs, which is part of the Planning Department.
Right, so but you're here as a representative for the commission?
For the Commission Secretary.
Okay, great, thank you. Are you familiar with section 6713 of the Sunshine Ordinance?
I have it up right in front of me now.
Okay, and if you look at B, each board and commission enumerated in the charter, which the Planning Commission is, shall provide sign language interpreters or note takers at each regular meeting, provided that a request for such services is communicated to the Secretary or the Clerk of the Board or Commission at least 48 hours before the meeting, except for Monday meetings for which the deadline shall be 4 p.m. for the last business day of the preceding week. So I'm wondering, was there any request for sign language interpreters?
No, there was no request made, and this similar information is included on our agenda as well.
And under any of the mayor's executive orders, was there any extra provisions because the meetings are happening in this mode as we're having today?
No.
To provide additional services? Go on, I'm sorry.
To my knowledge, sorry, I apologize that I interrupted. I was just trying to respond. To my knowledge, no. My understanding is through this section, and also this is consistent with our language access ordinance to providing interpretive services. We still are required to receive requests within 48 hours of a hearing in order to respond and provide reasonable accommodations, and no such request has been made for this hearing.
I guess what I was asking was, were you instructed by the mayor's office to provide sign language interpreters and other types of services because of the shelter-in-place order and the meetings were being held online instead of in person?
No, we were not.
Okay, thank you.
And there's also closed captioning provided by SF.gov TV for
I understand.
hearing.
I understand
Okay.
that, but the ordinance does speak to sign language interpreters because closed captioning isn't always correct all the time. That's being entered in by human also. I think. I'm not sure if it's artificial intelligence yet, but thank you.
I understand. I think it is human.
Okay, and one last point. You made it sound kind of pretty clear that there was no, that these were discussion items and not action items. It's not a factor when it comes to the Sunshine Ordinance. Whether it's action or discussion only, public has a right to make public comment on any item that's on the agenda that's of interest to the commission. So I just wanted to note that.
That wasn't my intent. I apologize. I completely agree.
That's all I have for the moment.
All right, thank you. Member Padmanabhan?
Yes, this is to Ms. Lynch. Just a small clarification. So you said you received 127 public comments for agenda items 6, 7, 8 of that day. Do you have an idea of how many were at the hearing and how many were later or before?
I don't have the count in front of me of how many people commented total at the hearing. That is something I can provide via email if that's of interest. It was one of the highest commented hearings we've had, especially remotely. It was the highest, receiving individual public comment.
Did most of these come later, or were they at the hearing?
So 127, no, at the hearing, sorry, apologize, at the hearing.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, this is Chair Yankee. Ms. Lynch, I had a question. So I just want to make sure I understand correctly. Was this error discovered at the beginning of the meeting, or was it discovered at somewhere in the middle of the meeting?
The beginning of the meeting. Item 6, the items that were referenced by the complainant were the first regular calendar items that were heard by the commission.
It was item number, was it 5 or something?
5, 6, and 7.
So what were items number 1, 2, 3, and 4?
Those are similar to what your items earlier were, which include the minutes and general public comment and matters by the commission, so commission announcements and directors announcements.
Okay, so I guess my question would be, if the error wasn't noticed for items 1, 2, 3, and 4, is it possible that members of the public may have tried to offer public comment on any of those items and not had the opportunity to do so because they were going off of what was posted on the agenda?
There is that possibility.
Okay. I guess that was one of the concerns that jumped out at me, is that occurred. Was there any, well, I guess at that point, I'm assuming that there was no effort to go back and reopen public comment or rehear any of those items?
Not to my knowledge did we reopen general public comment. However, we didn't receive, so the error was corrected prior to the opening of public comment for items 5, 6, and 7, but was not to the ones earlier as stated.
Okay. Member Padmanabhan, did you have another question?
No, I believe my hand was up from the previous.
Oh, okay.
Is there
Any other
rebuttal
questions?
possible?
Any other questions before we move to rebuttals, members? Okay. We're going to go ahead and move to rebuttals. I think we do, 3 minutes on this, Cheryl?
Correct.
Okay, we're going to do 3 minutes for rebuttals, and we'll start with the respondent, Ms. Lynch. So, Cheryl, please let Ms. Lynch know when you're ready.
Ms. Lynch, are you ready to speak?
Yes, thank you. I think the only, I apologize, Laura Lynch again. I think the only thing I would like to point out is we're not disputing that there was an error made to the agenda. That is something we are completely aware of and embarrassed so that was made. We have made efforts to correct this, as I stated earlier. However, in accordance with Administrative Code Section 67.15E, it says to facilitate public input, any agenda changes shall be announced by the presiding officer or policy body at the beginning of the meeting or as soon thereafter as the change or continuance becomes known to such a presiding officer. We tried our best to correct it at the hearing and notify individuals orally and in written format, and that is all I have to say. But again, we apologize for the error that we made. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Planthold, if you're ready, Cheryl will cue you up in just a moment.
Mr. Planthold, are you ready?
Yes, Bob Planthold is ready.
Go ahead, sir.
So I want to stress again what Mr. Wolf noted. The fact this is information does not diminish the need for public comment. Somebody could have had some insightful comments or brought information that had not been part of the staff analysis or the commissioner's thinking, and that might have caused them to raise additional questions on this issue. The issue is about parklets, shared spaces, and that's an issue in the disability community because even the brochure that planning has put out shows many of these parklets are not accessible, and therefore the idea of the people with disabilities being able to comment easily about this issue was thwarted by the negligence. You heard a statement from the respondent, it was found out early on. No, I pointed it out. Staff didn't notice, staff didn't pay attention. The point is a member of the public and a person with a disability had to notice, oops, there was a screw up. Further, you're told the planning has made changes. You're not told specifics. We haven't seen any sort of flow chart or process or memo to know what changes they made, whether they're adequate, whether they're responsive. You know, it may be it suits them, but they already screwed up at the April meeting by their earlier negligence, and therefore they need to make clear what exactly they've done so that myself as the complainant and other people with disabilities can say okay or not good enough. That's my rebuttal. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, deliberation, motion.
I'll move that the subject matter is within the jurisdiction of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force, and recommend that it be moved to the task force for hearing.
Great. Any second?
And I will second that.
Okay, moved by member Wolf, seconded by member Padmanabhan. Public comment? Any member of the public who wishes to comment on this motion, please state your name so the chair can add you to the queue.
Anonymous number
Yes,
3.
please. Peter Warfield.
Okay, anonymous number 3, Peter Warfield. Any others? Okay, sounds like we have 2 public commenters at this time. Cheryl, please let the first one know when you're ready.
Anonymous number 3,
Yes,
are you ready, sir?
I am.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. This is anonymous number 3. So what they're reading as 6715E is not what they're actually talking about. It is not a defense to what they're talking about. They effectively changed the location of a meeting. In real life, let's say you noticed it as room 200 in City Hall on the agenda, and then you actually held it in room 400 in City Hall. And then when, halfway through they realized, oh, we told everyone the wrong location. That's not what the agenda changes they're talking about. They're talking about removing items from the agenda, continuances, or changing the order of the agenda, that kind of stuff. Here they changed the location, not the physical location, but the virtual location. And that location is required to be noticed to the public on the agenda. And I believe that you guys can look through the requirements under the emergency changes to the Brown Act that allow remote meetings. That's the violation here. by not providing the correct virtual location of the meeting, effectively, anyone who wasn't watching SFGov TV never knew where the meeting was. And we are not required to watch SFGov TV. We may not have an internet connection. We may not know how to speak to Mr. Planthold to know about this. And that's the fundamental violation. They changed the location. The notice of the virtual location of this meeting was incorrect, and the meeting should not have gone on. Instead, the meeting should have been, oh, we told everyone it's the wrong location, and then they can have it another day. They can schedule a special meeting, and it doesn't require much time, but then you can still have full public participation by everyone who knows where the meeting is. There's also a possibility that you can consider this under the 6713 barriers to access requirement if it is the case that a specific demographic of people, say with disabilities, will be more unable to access this meeting than other people, say, who could listen to and watch SFGov TV than those who couldn't. But again, it doesn't just affect people with disabilities. Anyone who just didn't happen to be informed that, hey, the virtual location of our meeting has changed, there's just no way they would ever even be able to access the meeting at all, not even just to make public comment, but even to listen to the meeting. And so, yeah, I think this is very important, and it's not just something that can brush off as, oh, it's good. That's good faith. Good faith is not an exception to telling, for one, general compliance with the Sunshine Ordinance, and nor is it an exception to telling people where the virtual meeting is taking place. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Cheryl, when you're ready for the next speaker.
Mr. Warfield?
Yes, just let me know when to start, please.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
Peter Warfield here, Executive Director of Library Users Association. We can be reached at libraryusers2004@yahoo.com and by mail at P.O. Box 170544, San Francisco, California, 94117-0544. The ability to listen to and attend and participate in public meetings is vitally important in government, in our government, and in democracy. There's a whole long list of requirements for a reason, as well as for a whole Brown Act. And to fob off and to sort of minimize what it means to basically disable people's ability to attend in any way, I think is let's just say, very poor. First of all, it doesn't matter, as the chair pointed out, as Chair Wolf pointed out, it doesn't matter whether it's a discussion item or an action item. All of the meeting should be accessible, and there should be public comment appropriately available to the public. I was particularly concerned that there was no specificity, as Mr. Planthold pointed out. What exactly did they do to presumably correct the problem? Why, as I think one of the members asked, why was there no revisiting? And I think Mr. Planthold pointed this out too. Why was there no revisiting of the items that had been passed by? It doesn't matter whether you consider them important or not. They're on your agenda. And so you have to give the public the right to attend and participate. So I certainly agree with what Anonymous number 3 has said, and that is you've locked people out completely, and it's even more drastic than having the meeting next door or in City Hall in real life, because at City Hall at least there's a chance that you might look around, you might ask somebody, you might look for a notice that's been posted that you can actually perceive. You might even go to a guard or something like that and ask them, and so on and so forth. You still have possibilities.
30 seconds.
When you're locked out from a phone call or a computer connection, there's no place to go typically. And I think that's actually something the task force ought to require, and that is to have a kind of ombudsperson with a separate phone number where people can call if they're having a problem. Because if you can't get in, you can't get in. You're totally dead in the water. So I think this is a serious matter that the task force should take very seriously and find violations as well as probe further.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Members, are we ready for a vote? Okay, Cheryl, please call the roll.
Member Wolf?
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Member Padmanabhan?
Aye.
Member Padmanabhan, aye. Chair Yankee?
Aye.
Chair Yankee. Moved by Member Wolf, second by Member Padmanabhan, that the matter is within jurisdiction and recommend that this matter be referred to the task force for hearing.
Thank you, folks. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, Cheryl, when you're ready, if you can call the next item.
Item number 6, file number 21062. Complaint filed by Carl Kramer against the Department of Building Inspection for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 6721 by failing to respond to a records request in a complete and/or timely manner.
Okay, thank you. Is Mr. Kramer present?
I am present.
Great.
And
Okay,
I
just
wonder
one
if I
moment.
could say something very briefly.
Just one. Just want to make sure that both parties are here. One moment, and then you'll have a chance to speak. Okay. So, is there a representative from the Department of Building Inspection? *6 if you happen to be on mute. Anyone from the Department of Building Inspection?
Yes, that is me. This is Patrick Hannon from the Department of Building Inspection.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, we'll start with opening remarks, 5 minutes each, starting with the complainant. So Cheryl, please let Mr. Kramer know when you're ready for him to speak.
Mr. Kramer, are you ready to begin?
I am Cheryl.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, I'll make this very quick. So I had an email exchange with Patrick Hannon just before this this hearing, and I received the information that I was requesting. So I wish to withdraw complaint 21062, and also I had email exchange with Joseph Macaluso at the Department on the Status of Women, and I'm intending to withdraw file number 21063. That's it.
Okay, thank you. And respondent, I don't know if you want to make remarks, but if you would like to, Cheryl can queue you up here in just a moment. Cheryl, please let them know when you're ready.
I didn't catch your name, sir.
This is Patrick Hannon.
Are you ready?
Comment is,
I'm sorry.
Yes.
You ready?
Yes.
Go ahead,
I just want to say thank you, committee members, and thank you, Mr. Kramer, for the email exchange and for withdrawing the request. I'm happy to provide any information that you're looking for in the future, and I'm glad that we have each other's information.
Okay, thank you. Member Wolf?
Yes, I'd just like to thank for both parties being here. Also, Mr. Kramer, if you can, I know that things happen when they do happen, but you know, if we can have some way to be able to get a little more advanced notice when you're planning on withdrawing your complaints, it helps for us to be able to fill in other people that are also waiting in line for a very long time. So I know things happen when they do, and that I'm glad that things were able to be worked out for this one. And thank you for the advance notice on 2163. If you can just communicate with our administrator, Ms. Leger, for that and any others that you anticipate, we would greatly appreciate it. Help reduce our backlog. Thank you.
I fully understand that. I know about your backlog.
That's all I have.
Okay. Did we want to take an official action to close this, or just consider it closed?
Yeah, I'll move to accept the withdrawal from the petitioner and declare this file be closed.
And I'll second it.
Okay, great. Moved by Member Wolf, seconded by Member Padmanabhan. Any public comment on this item? Please state your
Yes,
name so
please.
we'll put you in the queue.
Hang on a second.
Oh,
Okay. Are you ready, Cheryl?
Yes, I am. Do we have public commenters?
Yes, please, Peter Warfield.
Do we have other public commenters?
Anonymous number 3.
Do we have other public commenters?
Okay. Sounds like just those two. So, Cheryl, please let Mr. Warfield know when you're ready.
Okay. Mr. Warfield, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Peter Warfield, Executive Director of Library Users Association. We can be reached at libraryusers2004@yahoo.com and by mail at P.O. Box 170544, San Francisco, California, 94117-0544. I'm hearing a lot of noises on the side here. I give this information because in a real meeting, in a real person meeting, there wouldn't be any need to. Anybody could walk up and say, I liked, didn't like, would like to discuss with you, and that could be arranged. It can't in this format unless everybody has given their contact information, or at least one of the folks that might be interested. And I think that's an important part of public meetings held in public places, and so on and so forth. I think that the task force needs to, I'm concerned about dismissals and the lack, as I believe there is a lack of any kind of procedural description of how withdrawals happen. So let me say that, first of all, it seems that Mr. Kramer has gotten what he wants, or thinks that he got what he wanted right at the last minute before the hearing. What that means is that the law helped him, which some people worked to put into place and involved a lot of work, presumably from administrative folks, from lawmakers, from the public, and so on. The facilities of the city, including the members of the task force, the administration of the task force, and for that matter, all those people who came today. All of this was all assembled so that, if you like, justice could be had. But I am concerned that a withdrawal leaves nothing in the record about a violation. It leaves no clarity as to what happened and why. This would be valuable for the task force and the public to understand what's going on, why is it going on, what maybe in a larger sense needs to be done, including possible changes to the law recommending such things, including possible your committee sending information out, and so on and so forth. So I'm very concerned that apparently in both cases, this one and the next one, it's taken till the very last moment. And then, as Chair Wolf points out, you have 2 whole hearings that you're not having that could have happened if this had been settled earlier.
Your time is up, sir.
That's my comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheryl, when you're ready for the next speaker.
Anonymous number 3, are you ready, sir?
I am.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. This is anonymous number 3. I wanted to agree with the part of what Mr. Warfield said, where the law is what actually gets compliance. This process is what actually gets compliance. As I said before, I think they can, and every person has the right to withdraw whatever they want to withdraw. But the part that Mr. Warfield was discussing, that the law, the SOTS procedures, the ability to serve a complaint on someone, demand a response, that's what gets compliance, even if there's no order of termination in the end, even if there's no finding of violation. And that in and of itself is concerning, right? It's concerning that agencies allegedly and often provably don't comply with the law until you raise a complaint with the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force. I don't know if that happened here. I'm looking at this response. The response is from May 28th. It's not from recently. And they claim on May 28th, they finally completed whatever he had requested on February 18th. And they have a defense for that about what records existed. So I'm not going to speculate on whether that was a violation or not. But the process got him what he wanted, right? The process of filing a complaint and demanding a response. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public commenters? Hearing no other public commenters, we'll close public comment. Members, any last word before vote? Okay, Cheryl, when you're ready, call the roll.
This is Victor. Is there a need for a vote if the complainant has withdrawn?
I think we're just affirming that is what happened in the meeting.
Yeah, since it already made it on the agenda, I think it's worthwhile for us to, officially close it out at this point.
A procedural vote. I would think it's worthwhile noting.
Okay, shall we go ahead?
If you could, yes, please.
Okay. Member Wolf?
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Member Padmanabhan?
Aye.
Aye. Chair Yankee?
Aye.
Chair Yankee? Aye. Moved by Member Wolf, seconded by Member Padmanabhan, that the matter be withdrawn, to accept the withdrawal from the petitioner and considers this matter tabled.
Great. Thank you, Cheryl.
Okay.
And let's go ahead and move on to the next item.
Okay. Do you need me to read 21063 into the record to say that it has been withdrawn? Or do you think what we've done is enough? I can do it.
Why don't you read it just since it's on the agenda so it's part of the record?
Okay. Item number 7, file number 21063, complaint filed by Carl Kramer against the Department on the Status of Women for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 6721 by failing to respond to a records request in a timely and/or complete manner. The petitioner has notified us that he received his records from this department and considers the matter closed.
Since it's still on the agenda, I suspect the complainant here will affirm that, but I just want to make sure that he has the opportunity to do so since this was an agendized item. So if you'd like, Mr. Kramer.
I'm here.
Okay, great. Cheryl, please let Mr. Kramer know when he can speak.
Mr. Kramer, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so I want to confirm that I'm withdrawing the complaint against the Department on the Status of Women.
And that was it?
Yes, that's it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Kramer. And I don't know if the respondent is here. Someone from the Department of Status of Women.
So I believe Kimberly Ellis, I spoke with her this morning, said that she would be appearing.
Okay, Ms. Ellis, did you?
This is Joe Macaluso for the Department of Status of Women. You know, we are present and thank you, and we have no comments this time.
Okay. Sounds like there's no further comments from the respondent to make. Members, we want to affirm this as well?
Yes, same call. Move to accept the withdrawal from the petitioner and to declare the matter closed, the file closed.
Great.
I'll second that.
Great. Moved by member Wolf, seconded by member Padmanabhan. Any public comment on this item?
Yes,
Please
please.
state your name.
Peter Warfield.
Okay. Mr. Warfield, any other public commenters? All right. Hearing none, Cheryl, please let Mr. Warfield know when you're ready.
Mr. Warfield, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Just let me know when to start. Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
Peter Warfield, Executive Director, Library Users Association, Library Users 2004 at yahoo.com, and P.O. Box 170544, San Francisco, California 94117-0544. I'd like to agree with the comments of anonymous number 3 made in the just preceding matter, but I'd like to take it a step further. The whole process, the whole mechanism, all of the effort and history and present efforts of the folks involved reached this point. But if we enable, and now let me just state this very clearly, I certainly agree that whoever wants to make a complaint should be able to make one as well as to withdraw one. I'm not stating anything about what the complainant has done. The complainant has reached what seems to be a successful conclusion. But what has our larger community had? Our larger community has had the experience that the agencies of the city are learning that if they wait until the very last minute, if they can get this person who made a complaint to go through all the rigmarole and all the effort and all the, as it sounded earlier in a complaint, tears and frustrations and time expenditure of complainants and delays which are long since past, especially when those are part of the complaint. If we just wait until the very day of the meeting, maybe they'll die, maybe they'll move, maybe they'll give up, maybe they'll be in tears and quit. But if they take it that far, our lesson is, let's not give them anything, let's not comply with the law until the very last, literally, day.
30 seconds.
And then we can just drop the information on them and they'll go away. And there won't be any record. There won't be any order of determination. I think that's a problem with respect to the Sunshine Ordinance and the way that the task force deals with this kind of a problem. It's an encouragement to delay and violate until the very last possible moment. I think that's socially and community-wise very poor, and the task force needs to think about what that means.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public commenters? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and close public comment. Members, we're ready for a vote? Okay. Cheryl, when you're ready, please call the roll.
Member Wolf?
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Member Padmanabhan?
Aye.
Padmanabhan. Chair Yankee?
Aye.
Chair Yankee, aye. Moved by member Wolf, second by member Padmanabhan to accept the withdrawal from the petitioner and consider the matter closed.
Great. Thank you. And if you can go ahead and read the next item when you're ready, Cheryl.
Item number 8, file number 20124, complaint filed by Stephen Bajanski against Kevin Guy and the Office of Short-Term Rentals for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 6724 for failing to provide public information, 6725 for failing to respond to an immediate disclosure request in a timely manner, 6726 for failing to keep withholding to a minimum, and 6727 for failing to justify withholding, and 6729 failing to provide an index of records.
Great, thank you. Is the complainant, Mr. Bajanski, present? *6 if you happen to be on mute. Mr. Bajanski, are you present? Okay, I don't hear the complainant. I'll ask if the respondent is present, Kevin Guy or someone from the Office of Short-Term Rentals.
This is Laura Lynch again from the Planning Department staff. The Office of Short-Term Rentals is under the Planning Department, so I'll be representing it on this matter.
Gotcha, great, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Members, it doesn't sound like we have the complainant present for this hearing. Thoughts on how to proceed at this point?
Hold on a second. I just want to.
Just to let the committee know, I did not receive any notification from Mr. Bajanski about his decision not to attend tonight's hearing.
Great, thank you, Cheryl.
Well, we can usually,
May I make a suggestion?
first time we will continue it. But if they're not here to show up for their own complaint,
Chair Wolf,
yes,
I think it's been the policies of the committee to go ahead and table the matter and inform the parties
right,
that that their matter has been tabled, and if that was done in error, they can still request that we reopen it. That's been the policy the committees have been using recently.
And we usually give a 30-day term.
You give a 30-day period before it closes completely?
Yes, to respond.
Okay. All right.
Did someone want to make a motion to that effect?
So here's, we do have a section of our complaint procedure that does speak to this. It's in 7, attendance and requirements for the complainant and the respondent. In B, if the complainant fails to appear at SOTF or committee hearing regarding their complaint without prior communication, the matter may be filed and dismissed without prejudice. Complaints dismissed without prejudice are considered closed and no further actions are to be taken. Complainant shall be notified of the action and may request that their complaint be reopened in writing if requested within 60 days. The complainant may also refile the complaint on a future date. SOTF or its chairperson can determine if the complaint shall be reopened. So, with that, I'll move to dismiss without prejudice this file and apply our complaint procedure, section C 7B be transmitted to the complainant and notifying them that they have 60 days if they wish to reopen.
Great. So we have a motion by Member Wolf.
And I'll second that.
Great. Okay, moved by Member Wolf, seconded by Member Padmanabhan. Any public comment on this motion? If you have public comment, please state your name so the chair can add you to the queue.
Yes, please.
Anonymous.
Okay, I hear, I believe that was Mr. Warfield, and anonymous number 3. Any other public commenters? All right, Cheryl, when you're ready, please let Mr. Warfield know when he can begin.
Mr. Warfield, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Just let me know when to start.
Go ahead, sir.
This is Peter Warfield, Executive Director, Library Users Association, Library Users 2004 at yahoo.com, and P.O. Box 170544, San Francisco, California, 94117-0544. So the first thing I want to say is it's not clear to me at all what these apparently technical terms mean in terms of the effect on the complaint and the complainant. What is the difference and what is the meaning and what are the subsidiary timelines and actions with respect to reopening versus dismissing? That's not at all clear. At least certainly not from this discussion or from what I've heard read. And I do appreciate the rule being read. The second thing, and perhaps even more important, is you yourselves have set up a situation that I think you have at times done better, and in this case not. If the complainant were listening and for some reason were having a difficulty or was unable or unclear, where's the assistance? This is not a room in which you're sitting. You might, if somebody fell asleep in a room, nudge them a little bit or speak a little louder to wake them up. There's a variety of things you could do that you might notice might be a problem. But you haven't, for example, here given a phone number. You haven't said what to press, as you have earlier, even in today's meeting. Said what to do if somebody is at a loss for what to do. To, for example, raise their hand in some places it's called, or unmute themselves. I can certainly tell you that at this meeting and at a few of the previous meetings of the task force and its committees, there are times when you press *6 and it does in fact go silent, and you miss important pieces of information as the slow speaking system reader tells you that you have been unmuted and so on and so on and so on. It's just dead silence. So I think you should give at least a fair chance for the complainant to be present by saying how to unmute yourself, or what number to call, what the code is, and so on and so forth, just so that they can be completely clear, and give them a moment or a few moments to actually do those things. And then I think it would be useful to explain what the difference is between dismissal and the other thing that you suggested, tabling. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you. Cheryl, please let the next speaker know when you're ready.
Anonymous number 3, are you ready?
I am.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much. This is anonymous number 3. I just want to point you to an administrative issue that has been a problem for quite some time that you could fix, and you can see it in this complaint. It's on P175, which is page 3 of the PDF. Do you notice how the complainant says not sure what is the question? And that's because the online Google form that you guys use, the HTML is set up such that there's no if you're using most browsers, you can't see what the top question asks. So it does, in fact, the label is complaint against which department or commission, but it's impossible to actually see that on the screen. So that's why this is not the first person who has written something like "not sure what is the question," and that's why they, it's not listed there. So something you might want to fix through your IT staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public commenters? Last call for public comment. Hearing none, I'll go ahead and close public comment. Before we vote, just one last opportunity. If the complainant's here, Mr. Bajanski, please press *6 to unmute yourself. Okay, hearing nothing from the complainant. Members, are we ready to vote on this matter? Okay. Cheryl, when you're ready, please call the roll.
Member Wolf?
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Member Padmanabhan?
Aye.
Member Padmanabhan, aye. Chair Yankee?
Aye.
Chair Yankee, aye. Moved by Member Wolf, second by Member Padmanabhan to dismiss this case without prejudice and apply the task force complaint procedures, section C, 7B, to be transmitted to the complainant, that they have 60 days to reopen their matter.
Great. Thank you, Cheryl. And when you're ready, go ahead and read the next item.
Item number 9, announcements, comments, questions, and future agenda items by members of the Education, Outreach, and Training Committee.
Members, anything for this item? Okay, doesn't sound like we have anything for this item. I suppose we can move to the last item then.
Public comment on the item?
Oh, okay. Sounds like we have a public commenter. All right. Any other public commenters on this item? All right, hearing none. Cheryl, please let the public commenter know when he's ready to go.
Mr. Warfield, are you ready?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Peter Warfield, Executive Director, Library Users Association, Library Users 2004 at yahoo.com, and P.O. Box 170544, San Francisco, California 94117-0544. I'm disappointed that there has been no member comments with respect to a variety of possible concerns. Actually, I'm thinking of Member Frazier, who left, but threw out a bit of a hand grenade, which I think would be worth looking at in terms of where this body is going, where it can improve, and so on. With respect to future agenda items, I've certainly suggested that there has been no follow-up action on what I believe was a very important and significant complaint that we had, Library Users Association, about access to public comment by the public at Library Commission meetings, and it applied to basically anybody, anywhere, and basically any public meeting in San Francisco. I've said it before, the library has not followed up with any changes, and therefore it seems to me that that's a problem. You finding a violation or several violations seems to me to be something that you very rightfully ought to be very interested in spreading around to, well, far and wide, and certainly to people who might be repeating those problems, those errors, and violating again and again. You have done, I believe, in the last full task force, a step to spread the word about timeliness of response, and to spread that widely as well. I would certainly second that, as well as say spread it even wider, not just to city agencies, but to the media, to the public, to whoever you can. That's certainly part of an education committee job. So I would certainly
30 seconds.
encourage you to much more broadly spread word about what your activities are, what your actions are, and particularly what your findings of violations are, and especially when those have to do with things that might be new or might be ongoing or might be a widespread issue, like access to public meetings. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comment? Hearing no other public comment. Cheryl, can you read the next item?
Item number 10, adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
I'll second that. Moved by member Wolf, seconded by Chair Yankee to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, I have 7:33.
Okay, 7:33. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thanks for a good meeting. I'm going to
Thank
stop
you.
recording.